Midnight. Rain. An empty road. You pull up to a stone inn and kill the engine. The wooden sign over the door creaks like it's thinking about you. You touch the brass handle. The lock slides on its own. The door opens and whispers, "After you." Inside, damp stone, patient portraits, a bell that answers itself from upstairs. On a lonely lectern, a ledger. The last page is wet black with a name you didn't write. Yours, tonight. A boot steps overhead. The walls breathe. Reader, do not trust the door. In the attic, an old bottle hums with blue-white lightning. In the basement, locker 17 opens to a burned map and 2 words, "The Narrow." Down there, the walls grow hands, small, clean, cold, counting your pulse like a prayer. 17 hooks, 1 is empty. Below the floor, a well wakes, words gloom on drowned pages. Paoli, Valley Forge, the night the room upstairs went silent forever. Listen, around here, midnight isn't a time. Midnight is a door. A voice at your ear, "Welcome back." Another, wearing a smile it didn't earn, "We are listening." Can you write yourself out before the hook writes you in? Echoes from the grave, the 17 ghosts of General Wayne Inn. Press play and don't turn off the lights.
All right, you pull up and kill the engine. The silence gets big. You know that feeling? When the quiet sits on your chest and waits. Your headlights die. Rain keeps talking to itself. And above the door, a wooden sign creaks like it's thinking about you. Hand-painted letters, flake paint. Not just a sign, a face, watching. You step out, shoes on old stone, too loud. Your breath sounds like footsteps behind you. It isn't, not yet. You reach for the brass handle and it's colder than the night, deep cold. Skin sticks to metal cold. Your fingers kiss it, and it kisses back like the door has lips. Then the latch slides. You didn't turn it. The door opens itself and says, "After you." Inside, the air smells like damp stone and old ink. The kind of ink 100 hands used to sign away nights they never got back. Portraits line the walls, men in drab coats, women with mouths like rules. Their eyes don't look painted, they look patient. You tap the bell on the counter. 1 clean chime. Far upstairs, a second chime answers, polite as a clerk you can't see. Nobody comes. There's a ledger on a lectern, and we always touch the thing that will hurt us. The pages whisper like moth wings. Colonial names, stagecoach drivers, soldiers, politicians, a poet or 2. You skim casual, like you're not looking for anything. Then you stop, because on the last page, in ink that looks wrong, like it never dried, your name is already there. A floorboard overhead pops, heavy. You swallow. The portraits feel closer. The bell answers itself a second time. You didn't touch it. And then, the front door behind you, the one that opened on its own, gives a little click and locks. I'm not saying run. I'm saying ask a simple question. If something just locked the only way out, were you the one it wanted to keep out, or the one it wanted to keep in? Welcome back.
General Wayne Inn, Merion Station, Pennsylvania. Built when the road outside was ruts and hoofprints, stones dragged into place by hands that bled. Men who believed the winter would end if they just kept saying it out loud. George Washington stopped here, they say. Not the statue, the man with chewed heels and frost-bitten resolve. Aaron Burr, smiling like a knife. Benjamin Franklin, storm-drunk and brilliant, talking electricity over ale and ink. If you're listening in Boston, Toronto, Manchester, you know that kind of room. Warm fire, cold shoulders, somebody deciding somebody else's fate over a table that still creaks when you lean on it. The inn was a waypoint, a hub. The thing about hubs, everything passes through. Not all of it leaves. Hessian soldiers died within sight of these walls. Argue the names, Hans, Johannes. You can't argue the stain where the frost won't take. Locals swear boots pace upstairs you can never catch up to. Light runs under doorways like water. And a man in a dark frock coat stands in the dining room and never quite turns his face toward you because it isn't attached. One heavy boot step right above you. Breathe. You're okay. That ladder of cold up your spine, normal. Here, the stone remembers. A historian will tell you records changed hands and names, but the through line was traffic, stories, residue. Registers read like early America, until the gaps. Names scratched out, pages torn. It's the absences that keep people up at night. You ring the bell again. Not because you think anyone's coming, because we repeat rituals when we're scared. The portraits swell under their varnish, lightning flashes, one mouth seems to move. You don't catch the word, just the shape. It looks like your name. The grandfather clock ticks once in the foyer. It has no hands. Upstairs, at the end of a crooked hall, there's a high room where a gaunt figure once turned a page black with a single word that felt like a bruise. Nevermore. If Poe wrote here, where did he leave? More important, what stayed? Reader, do not trust the door. There's a landing where the staircase bends around itself, like a thought that won't stop chewing you. A window there fogs in winter. Your breath writes things you didn't mean to say. Tonight, you lean close. Your breath spells a word by itself. Longing. Then a fingertip you can't see wipes it away from the other side. You walk the hall to the high room. Old wallpaper, dust you can taste. A chair with a back rubbed smooth by a man who thought too long. A blotter with a black ring of ink like a halo. A hat on a peg, just high enough you'd need your toes to touch it. A breath grazes the back of your neck. Your shoulders pull up before you tell them to. You shut your eyes because there's nothing to see. Empty room, empty chair. You open them. The chair is facing you now. We can say it isn't a trick because you know the difference between a draft and a decision. Somewhere, a tiny sound, click, 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 like a nib kissing glass. And this is where the room changes you, not touching you, filling you. On the blotter, a fresh scrap of paper with your name written in a tidy, careful hand that belongs to nobody living. In the hall window, a shadow moves, but nothing crosses the glass. Only the hat on the peg sways, polite as a bow. On the wall, carved shallow where the chairback would have rubbed, I am listening. he is, or the thing that trained itself on his voice until it learned yours is. If you're in Chicago, Halifax, or Glasgow, keep the lights on, because the air sweetens like flowers left too long in a hospital corridor, and you feel it. Someone in this house knows you're here because they were waiting. Never.
Some hauntings are cold, some hum. In the attic, timbers low enough to scalp you, a thick, slightly purple bottle sits on a trunk. Old glass gets that color when it's eaten 100 summers of light. Inside, something flickers, not candle, not alive, impatient. Franklin belonged to storms. Picture him up here on a night like this, copper wire sleeping in coils, a key tied with ribbon you wish you didn't recognize. He names the dark like he owns it. Charge, spark, potential, soul. Some men pray with candles. He prayed with weather. Static crawls your skin. Your hair lifts, single strands waking. Your tongue tastes like pennies. Next to the bottle, 2 keys, one old door key, one modern locker key. The number stamped in the bow, 17. You've already seen it, on the bar, in the ledger. You reach for the bottle. Glass sings, a filament scream you feel in your teeth. Don't. There's a current in this house you can't measure. Franklin would call it an experiment. You step closer. The key winks like it knows your name. The floorboards under the trunk are scorched in a spiral, not from a fire that took the house, from something that came down and sideways. In a ledger from the 1790s, there's a note, electrics, small balls of fire. 2 entries agree. Sparks came after specific words were spoken, as if words primed the air. What words? The ones that raised a country? The ones that raise the dead? The locker key warms in your palm. The bottle throws new shadows, sketching rooms that don't exist yet. And somewhere below, far in the inn's ribs, a door unlatches. Which door did you just open without touching it? We harnessed the storm. We forgot to ask what the storm wanted.
The bar listens better than most churches. Long wood, old mirrors with tarnish like frost, horseshoes and shadows, the smell of wet wool that doesn't belong to you. You cross the threshold. The floor dips under centuries of boots. If you angle yourself just right, the mirror on the back wall stops showing now and starts showing then. 4 fresh beers sit on the counter. You didn't pour them. Still, a slide of foam runs down and makes a ring on the wood like a timestamp. You could set your watch by it, if you had time. Outside, marching. Not loud, precise. Hessian cadence. One boot peels away from the rest and steps into the room. You don't see him until the mirror gives him back to you. Green coat, braids, a face that looks more confused than cruel. Not every ghost is a villain. Some are just late. The mirror clouds, not condensation, breath. A blade scrapes wood somewhere close and slow, like a tally being carved one line at a time, and all the lines hurt. You let your hand rest on the counter. When you lift it, there's a number under your palm you didn't know you were covering. It matches the key in your pocket, 17. A skirt brushes the doorway, a woman's shape that doesn't belong to this century, a tray that tilts in her memory, Drinks that always spill. "I'm sorry," she's been saying for 150 years. "I'm sorry." She never warms up. 2 wet handprints slap the bar top right where no one is standing. Your breath stumbles. The main door yawns open, mocking you, then slams with a force that rattles your teeth. The last thing you see in the mirror before it goes black, the space where you're standing, is empty. As if you already left and something else is wearing your shape. So tell me, if the mirror says you're gone, when did you go? We only needed one more.
The corridor is too long for the footprint of the inn. Wallpaper repeats wrong. Doors are spaced like a fever dream. The runner rug is worn where no feet walk. There's an upstairs office with the number plate missing, wood chewed around the knob by someone's fingernails. You try the handle, it swallows your hand like old wood can be hungry. Inside, desk, chair, filing cabinets, one with a dent like a kicked rib. A calendar stuck to a day that matters to someone. A single ceiling tile stains itself into a halo it doesn't deserve. Fluorescent hum, flicker. Then the room drops into a hush so absolute you hear your own blood like surf. That sound? That's not sound. That's your body arguing with the past. On the desk, a ledger opens itself. A list of names, dates, and amounts. Debt, except it isn't money. 17 lines. The last is blank. The date column is already filled in. Tonight. Something breathes across the paper. The pen tips in its cup like a mind about to make a mistake on purpose. The nib points at you. A voice that isn't a voice, close to the bone. Say the names. Don't. If you say them, the house will know your mouth. It will keep it. In the window glass, from the inside, a dry finger writes a single word without moisture, without mercy. Stay. You take one step backward. The temperature drops like an elevator, and from far below, a door unlatches. Midnight around here, it isn't a time. Midnight is a door. Strike a match. Basement stairs. Low ceiling pipes that sweat. Paint scuffed to raw wood. The kind of air that makes your tongue remember pennies. A staff-only sign points at a locker room nobody uses. Metal doors with louvered vents. A bench that remembers knees. And a smell of rubber soles and lavender. The living and the dead both love their little rituals. You kneel at the bottom row, locker 17. Funny, it always is. The key slides in too easily, like it was made for your hand. The lock resists once, one stubborn heartbeat, then forgives you with a sound like a tired old man letting go. Inside, a folded square of blue wool with a tarnished button. A small corked bottle with cloudy liquid, the color of weak tea. A roll of paper, edges singed and bound with twine. A brass stencil of numbers, one white glove, limp as a shed skin. You unroll the paper, script like a crab scuttling sideways. Numbers down the spine, 711, 355, 127, 723, 1938. Heat kisses the page, and words rise like a drowned face remembering air. To A.W., keep safe this we cannot burn. A map hides under the math, second floor outline, stairs in the wrong place, and a square that shouldn't exist, labeled in a hand that barely trusts itself, the narrow. The glove which you did not put on is on your left hand now. That's not how gloves work. The cork twitches in the bottle like something inside is trying to remember your name. In your other ear, a woman's breath that seems helpful until it isn't. Do not go alone into the narrow. The same mouth flips tone. Go. When the walls disagree with the map, which one do you believe? The portrait hall is a gauntlet. Oval frames, varnish crazed like dry riverbeds. The sconce burns low and leans left in a room with no draft. You count the panels beneath the chair rail. 11, 12, 13, 14. On 15, the wall takes a breath. Your gloved fingers find the seam. The panel slides because it has done this before. Behind it, dark, crowded, honest. A passage only as wide as your shoulders. Beeswax stains where candles cried themselves to death. The smell of badly washed linen that was never washed again. Hooks halfway in, brass, 17 of them. Tiny tags, corroded but legible, 1 through 17. A coin with a crown, a ribbon stained brown, a pewter button, a folded scrap of paper that looks like a mouth that won't open unless you ask it wrong. Hook 17 is empty, for now. Above the candle cup, a child's pencil rhyme scrawled in a soft, looping hand. Turn the key the way they said. Say the right and count the dead. If you call and it calls back, you will never find your bed. Something ahead of you isn't moving, but it wants to. The narrow is a throat, and you are a swallow it has been saving. Your car key, the modern truth, hangs on hook 17 now. You didn't put it there. You didn't drop it. The tag beneath slides its numbers like fish underwater until it spells a single new word. Yours. Breath touches the back of your neck. Old books, wet wool, grave dust. A voice small as a child, wrong as a lure. Present yourself. A candle that hasn't burned for 2 centuries lights itself, a tiny delighted puff, and near the floor ahead a handprint appears on the wall, small, wet.
The narrow breathes you into a seam behind the upstairs office. You can see out through lath, thin gaps where plaster forgot to be perfect. It's a view from behind reality. On the other side, the room climbs into a year you don't want. No gore, no sound, only pressure. 2 men, one wired and sharp, one tired down to his shoes. Papers flood the air like white birds that forgot how to fly when fear came in. There's a moment before any terrible thing when both people understand exactly what is about to happen. That's the worst part. That instant stretches around you like plastic pulled tight. The desk jerks, the chair falls, somewhere a cheerful phone rings like a birthday. The muzzle flash is only light. Still, your body flinches like it can hear thunder in a vacuum.
On the desk, a ledger shoves itself into the spotlight. Pages flip with a hiss. The column at the bottom writes without a hand. The blank line you didn't fill is filled. Your name, your time, 01:31:13. You look at your own clock. The seconds don't care what you want. 01:29:50. Your shadow on the other side of the lath stops obeying you. It lags, looks back, then leaves. In the reflection on the dark window, someone sits at the desk wearing your shape and writes with your hand. They lick ink off the nib like blood. You are not in the room is in you. A page tears itself free and sticks to the lath like a warning. One word bleeds through to your side. Pay. You run back to the only room that pretends to be safe. The chair, the desk, words that hunt slower than teeth. When he arrives, it isn't like a ghost, it's like a page. Edges get sharp. Air turns into sentences. He smells like ink and damp wool and apple peel and a book you loved too hard. Tall by starvation, cheekbones like pronouns, eyes that think you are an idea he's just now trying on. Poe, or the thing that wore him long enough to fool both of you. He taps the desk twice pleasantly. Reader, listener, you came. We can make something of that. The ledger page with your name crackles warm in your hands like it wants a second chance. He smiles, a nice smile that hurts like a knife pretending to be a joke. The house has a ledger, so do I. One keeps accounts of breath, one of breath taken away. I can correct an entry. The problem is never the pen, it is the paper. It refuses to forget, so we must persuade it. The bottle on the desk, the one you should not have brought, lets go of its cork with a soft, delighted pop. A blue-white filament rises and tickles the ink. Your name fades, returns, fades. Oh, Benjamin, you empiricist, you almost freed us and never once asked how it would feel. Your clock says you have 5 seconds. He leans in close enough to change your temperature. A trade. I require only a story. Not yours, not at first. Go down the narrow. Tell me what the hands do. Tell me if they are grateful. Tell me if I invented them or if they invented me. From the hall at ankle height, a bright child's voice that wasn't invited. Come see our hands. You back toward the door. The hat on the peg grows heavy with the idea of a head. The hallway tightens like a drawn bow. What story will save you? Yours or his? Back into the narrow. Candle in one hand, little storm in a bottle in the other. 2 different lights argue about what you are. The first hand comes out of a hole not big enough for a fingertip. Small, very clean, very dead. It pats the floor in front of you as if expecting to be taken. You do not take it. Plaster crackles, more hands bloom. An adult's calloused palm, a narrow wrist threaded with cold, fingers that never learn to grip, fingers that remember blades. Some are gentle, some are not. One slides into your coat pocket like it has a right. Your phone goes out, not dead battery, wrong world. Another finds your pulse, another finds the other pulse, another, another. You are counted like a rosary. Hook 17 bears two things now, your car key and a loop of red thread, warm as a tear. The blue filament hums a note the hands seem to recognize. You hear yourself speak a sequence like you learned it in some other life. 711, 355, 127, 723, 1938. The air clicks shut on the last number. Several hands loosen, not all, enough. Then the wall begins to deliver not only hands, 4 fingers, a dragging fifth, the curve of a palm, the thing behind it pushing like birth through lime and horsehair and grief. If you say my name, I am yours. The ledger page under your shirt burns a square against your skin. You say a word you have no right to know. Release. Do houses obey? Not generally. This one listens. You step past what you shouldn't step on, into a small chamber. Hooks again, 17, meaner, set to hold what doesn't want to be held. Hook 1, a braid tied in green. 4, a woman's cap. 8, a tiny shoe. 11, a chewed quill. 17, bare wood polished by many fingers. The tag beneath it is blank. It pulls your breath into it like ink. Behind you, 1 knock, 2, 3, and then a 4th. Not how any of the rules work. Make your choice.
The narrow wasn't the end. It was the hinge. Another panel gives and you spill into the house's first room. Stone walls crowded like men around a table. Soot on the ceiling, glossy as old skin. In the middle, a well sealed with a wooden lid that bows under its years. You set the ledger on the lid. It doesn't like it here. A line writes itself down the margin like a bad thought. You are lost. You lift the lid. Air moves the wrong way. The smell that rises is flower sweet and velvet rot. The bouquet you bring to a grave and then walk away from fast because the ground smells hungry. At the bottom, an inch of black. Papers that never dissolved because the ink refused to show. Invisible ink loves to show off. Heat, the right acid, the right voice. You lower the bottle by its ribbon. The arc kisses the dark, and words bloom on the drowned pages like bruises. A list, not of people, of nights. Paoli, Valley Forge, a coffee house, a signboard. The day a Hessian boy fell in mud and learned death isn't a foreigner. The day a woman spilled drinks and never warmed up again. The day in 1996 a sentence became permanent with light that hurts even when it's silent. The inn's calendar, the inn's mouth. You do the unforgivable. You count. 1. The boy in green. 2. The cap. 3. The driver. 4. The chewed pen. 5. The coin with a crown. 6. The cook with boulder knuckles. 7. The Quaker who didn't drink and wrote the only honest pages. 8. The child with the handprint low on the wall. 9. The woman who said, "Do not go alone," and did. 10. The owner who died upstairs. 11. The owner who did not. 12. The traveler who put his head down in 1910 and didn't pick it up. 13. The maid who loved a man who never learned her name. 14. The soldier who kept his lieutenant's braid. 15.
The man who makes offers and cannot keep them. 16. The gentleman with no face in the dining room. 17. Who is 17? The well answers in your voice, I am. Of course, the count is a mouth that wants the next bite. The empty hook is a hunger with a number on it. So you write yourself out. Under your name and your time in the ledger, you print in ugly, mortal block letters, returned. The arc touches the word. The ink sizzles. The letters shiver and stand. You speak the numbers again, not magic, math that paid for breath. 711, 355, 127, 723, 1938. You pour the little storm back where you stole it from. You do not cork it. Charge is meant to move. In the narrow, the hooks go naked one by one. Coin gone, cap gone, braid gone, button gone. The child's handprint dries and flakes away, like the wall is finally done pretending it has skin. The high room exhales, the hat stays on its peg. The door that locked itself is only a door. You cross the wet stones, start the car. The radio finds not a station, but a voice as warm and close as beginning you didn't plan. Reader, listener, we have corrected an entry. It will be some other night for you. For someone else, perhaps, tonight. Do not dally. A brief laugh that hurts both of you. Midnight is a door. It opens both ways. You drive. Rain smears light into rivers your car was designed to swim in. You will tell no one for a while. You will try not to dream of hands. You will succeed until you don't. And if you pass that house again, don't test the count. The empty hook doesn't stay empty long. We are listening.
The corridor is too long for the footprint of the inn. Wallpaper repeats wrong. Doors are spaced like a fever dream. The runner rug is worn where no feet walk. There's an upstairs office with the number plate missing. Wood chewed around the knob by someone's fingernails. You try the handle. It swallows your hand like old wood can be hungry. Inside, desk, chair, filing cabinets, one with a dent like a kicked rib. A calendar stuck to a day that matters to someone. A single ceiling tile stains itself into a halo it doesn't deserve. Fluorescent hum, flicker. Then the room drops into a hush so absolute you hear your own blood like surf. That sound? That's not sound. That's your body arguing with the past. On the desk, a ledger opens itself. A list of names, dates, and amounts. Debt, except it isn't money. 17 lines. The last is blank. The date column is already filled in. Tonight. Something breathes across the paper. The pen tips in its cup like a mind about to make a mistake on purpose. The nib points at you. A voice that isn't a voice, close to the bone. Say the names. Don't. If you say them, the house will know your mouth. It will keep it. In the window glass, from the inside, a dry finger writes a single word without moisture, without mercy. Stay. You take one step backward. The temperature drops like an elevator, and from far below, a door unlatches. Midnight around here, it isn't a time. Midnight is a door. Strike a match.